Hello everyone, this is Edwin here, also known as Splinter on Through the Ages Pulse. If you like this video, please follow me at twitch.tv thesplendidsplinter. Due to the COVID lockdowns in my state, I've decided to make a series of Masterclass videos on advanced concepts in playing high level Through the Ages. I hope you can apply them in your next game. Today's topic will be on how to evaluate cards that grant you additional military actions. I like discussing this because there's really no formula. How do you compare getting hard resources like science or rock to something like a red dot? Hopefully we'll find out more. Here's a recent Pulse game where the Leaders and Wonders row caught my attention. Do you see what I see? There's a very visual lack of red dots provided by both Leaders and Wonders. I would be paying very close attention to the sources of red dots, especially in Age 1. Joan of Arc is a very high pick here, along with the two governments. And last, there's warfare if we miss out. If my opponent is not paying attention and lets three of these four sources pass by, denying that last source can be a great play. Here's another example. Normally, Roman roads and Colosseum are very close in value. However, because Colosseum provides that valuable red dot and there's nothing else really except Ziska, Colosseum becomes a clearly better pick here. Also, prepare yourself for taking Ziska for 2 or 3, because this is one of those games where he's even better than normal when there's no contesting leader or wonder that can grant a red dot. It can really lead to suboptimal picks for your opponent if you get Ziska. For your reference, I've created a master list of every single way of gaining a red dot in the game. Something to note here in this chart are the tildes. The tildes represent not true military actions. They are kind of like a pseudo, almost like a half action. Some of them give you additional card draws, some of them allow you to hold additional cards. Either way, I've included them all here for completeness sake. I've bolded warfare, monarchy, and theocracy because for this lesson today, I want to focus on Age 1, the most important age where military is won or lost. Let's talk about Age 1 sources. I think everyone knows how good monarchy is. It seems that civil actions are valued both by experienced and new players, but theocracy and warfare don't get a lot of love, and I want to kind of talk about them a little bit more. I find myself going into theocracy more and more these days, mainly for the third military action, but because every little bit of that card is useful. The strength, the happiness, the culture, and the urban limit. If you find yourself able to use most of these modes, theocracy is actually completely okay, and we'll be looking to skip an Age 2 government. I'm a lot less happy to take warfare. It's like a band-aid. Like, I just need it to stop the bleeding. But the problem with warfare is the high science cost. 5 science is a big deal for what it gives you. But also being able to use strategy when it comes down the row, you're going to find yourself wanting to cut strategy from your opponent because of how good that card is to either player. And then having warfare already means that strategy is just less useful for you. It dilutes the power of a great card. I like to prepare myself to be able to use strategy for its full benefit. That's why I don't like to take warfare. But sometimes you got to take what you got to take. Why is Age 1 so important to get that third military dot? The main reason is you want to draw a tactic in Age 2 that will dictate where you go for the rest of the game for your military. There's going to be cards coming down the row all the time. Cannon, 1 singleton of riflemen, and 2 cavalrymen. Early on, you have no visibility as to which one of these tactics will be important because you don't have a tactic yet. So, you want to be drawing these cards in the maximum amount, which is up to 3 per turn, and you want to be finding this tactic as soon as possible. This will allow you to not have to take riflemen for 3, or to pass cannon at 1, because you already have something that can serve you well for the rest of the game, leading to very efficient uses of science and civil actions. The opposite is true if you don't have a tactic. you're in the dark. Maybe you can try to copy it from your opponent, but by then, they may have been able to pull off a war or an aggression on you before you could respond in kind. Either way, I think there's a whole minigame of being able to draw as many cards in Age 2 to get this tactic and to deny your opponent from doing so. Let me show you. This is at the end of Age 1, going into Age 2. There are 2 cards left in the Civil deck. This is a great turn to develop knights, show medieval army, and build a knight. This will take up most of our military actions. However, because it's the end of the age, we're just going to be drawing more Age 1 military cards. There's no tactic that we can find in this age that's better than medieval army for our purposes. So we almost have a dead draw. This would be a great time to use our military actions. Now when it's our opponent's turn, let's say that our opponent only had 2 red dots. This is a terrible situation to be at the start of Age 2. Being down in strength with all the events being hostile potentially. You either have to take it, or you have to improve your military and use those red dots. Let's say that our opponent does the same. On their turn, they develop a swordsman or a knight themselves and show a tactic. Let's say they've also had just 2 military actions. That means for 1 full turn in Age 2, they drew 0 cards. That is horrific. Because, again, the clock is ticking on finding that tactic. Now let's say that we had our turn in the following turn and just increased our military by 1 again. Let's say we just built 1 more knight, and now we increased our strength again. Our opponent is again in the same situation. We drew 2 cards. They might use 2 actions again to meet up their military. They draw 0 or 1 cards again. You can continue this escalation of military over and over and over again, and your opponent might not have even they might not even have a chance to draw a tactic if they continue to want to escalate their military with so few actions. This is a classic example of how you can win a game with almost no variance. I think there's a lot more we can talk about, but I wanted to end it here and get your feedback on where you wanted to go with this. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this.